Hi, welcome back to my channel, all about book summaries. We're doing how to read a book. We're on part 3, chapter 19, how to read social science. Social science includes disciplines such as anthropology, archaeology, sociology, psychology, political science, and economics. Keep in mind that many of these divisions are arbitrary. Okay, some are grouped according to purpose, like what candidates are expected to do once they've acquired their degrees. Other institutions group them according to approach or technique, and still others compartmentalize these disciplines in terms of general concept versus specific theme, and so on. Okay, so if you're confused about what exactly constitutes social science, okay, you're not alone. The authors warn that although seemingly easy to read, social science is deceptive. Granted, it is familiar, certainly, but not easy, as the terms often employed, such as society, are recognizable but often have a myriad of meanings. There's also the paradox of social science. Because it is more accessible, most people tend to have strong opinions on the subject matter. And since that is the case, these opinions tend to color their reading, making true understanding rare. I quote, you cannot understand a book if you refuse to hear what it is saying. Page 301. Another challenge is that of terms. Recall that these are keywords or phrases that an author is using in specific contexts, and it is your job to make sure you fully comprehend them. Otherwise, you risk poorly understanding, or worse, misunderstanding the author's argument. Now, in the case of, say, the hard sciences, like physics, defining propositions is relatively straightforward, right? The concept of force, for instance, is understood by all, right? Physicists and non-physicists alike. Well, maybe not understood, right? But you know what I mean, right? A basic understanding is there between both scientist and layperson. The same cannot be said for terms such as mental health, adequate governance, even gross national product, right? So this difficulty then is not only a challenge for the writer, but for the reader as well. Remember that the first question you need to answer when pigeonholing a book is, what kind of book is it? Given that the subcategories of social science are not agreed upon in the first place, and given the tendency of social science to straddle several disparate disciplines, often simultaneously, answering this question can prove rather difficult. Okay? That having been said, classifying a book of social science according to category is important. It will aid you in understanding its layout and will help you know the conventions it follows, which in turn allows for a fair assessment of the work at hand. Remember, this is the primary reason why we pigeonhole a book, right? Why we classify it. Okay? You must understand where it's coming from so that you can ask reasonable questions of it and judge it accordingly. Okay, moving on. Outlining a work of social science is typically a straightforward matter, but try not to jump to conclusions when tackling the what of it part. Remember not to let opinions get in the way of understanding and analysis. Last point, we move on to one's approach when it comes to reading the vast body of literature that comprises social science. As this is a relatively new field, right, haven't been given official status only as recently as the 19th century, there are few, if any, classics, right, i.e. authoritative works that are generally agreed upon. Therefore, when a reader wishes to explore a topic, he or she often needs to read several different texts, although this is true of other disciplines, though to a lesser extent. Okay, with this comes the end of part 3, and this final chapter also serves as a springboard to the next, that of syntopical reading, as the authors call it, where you compare and contrast the contents of more than one text. Don't go away, we're almost done.